Hey everyone, I'm Adam Sellars here with the Queen City Sellars team. Let us be your key to the city with our next episode of Behind the Key. Here with me today, I have Regional Vice President Wayne Ballard of Primerica. Y'all, I cannot wait to talk finances. One of the most important things I know with my clients is talking about business, but also talking about finance. And in real estate, you really can't do a lot without having the best financial support you can. So I'm really excited to present Wayne Ballard with Primerica today. How are you doing, Wayne?
I'm good, Adam. Thank you for letting me come today. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited. This is a conversation that's meant a lot to me and talking about just about business, but not only about business, but about finances. So we're going to take a deep dive into your business today. I can't wait to hear about that. And then also a little bit about your life. How long have you been with Primerica now?
I'm in my 9th year.
Okay. And how long have you been in the financial industry?
This is my 9th year.
Okay. So you've been with Primerica the entire time?
I have. I was a university professor for 25 years.
Oh, yeah. Tell us a little bit about your primary life before you were...
Yeah, I was a university professor. I taught Hebrew language, and I had a PhD in Hebrew language and one in administration. And after 25 years, it was time to make a change and looked into financial services and haven't looked back. It's been incredible.
Yeah, so why financial services? What about that really made you want to join in?
Yeah, opportunity. It's about helping people. In our country, in our schools, we have great schools, great teachers. My wife's a teacher. I'm thankful for our public education system. But we're not teaching money. We're not teaching financial, how the money game works. And what I do is get to help families every day learn how the money game works. And that knowledge helps them provide a better lifestyle, provide more opportunity, better opportunity for their children. For example, Adam, in previous life, I also helped churches as well as being a professor. I'd help churches. And if I went to a funeral, would you rather me come with a good old Baptist casserole, a bouquet of roses, or a check for $1 million? Which one's going to help your family in the long runs?
Well, it's always money. Money always helps.
And that life insurance component of what we do makes a huge difference. And it can make the difference in a child going to college, having an education, providing a better life for their entire family and their community.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. So, what did you see that made this feel so important? Like, what did you see when you were joining that made it feel so important to you?
Yeah, with our company specifically, we really focus on helping people reach financial independence. It's not just to provide products. It's not just transactional. It's really relational. It's getting to know people. It's helping them and really helping people, both our reps and our families that we work with, to really work toward financial independence, which means freedom of time and freedom of money. And as you're well aware, most people that have a lot of time don't have much money, and a lot of people that have a lot of money don't have much time. So financial services allows us to help people to work toward that goal.
Yeah, that's really big that you said that, with wealth building and time and money. Can you expand a little bit more on what you meant by that? Like, what do you mean by like time versus money and like wealth?
Yeah, absolutely. Really, when we talk about having freedom of time and freedom of money, a lot of people, if they have a business, especially if they have a business of their own, their business owns them. And our model with Primerica, which is not unique to me, it's for us. It's one I'm just plugging into. It provides a model that you come in and work 3, 5, 7 years really hard, and then it provides a lifestyle that you can work as much as you want to the rest of your life. And it just gives that opportunity. And for our clients, for those that work with us, we're helping them to invest, we're helping them to build strategies so that their money's growing as well, so that they can actually get to that point of having that freedom of time and freedom of money.
Why did you align with Primerica? What made them such a valuable corporation or company to be with to help build wealth?
It's a great question, Adam. And for me, my values align very well. My personal values are treat all people with dignity and respect. And Primerica, our sales force is, if you look at us across the country and in Canada, we're incredibly diverse. We have more women than men, actually, in our sales force. We have all backgrounds, all ethnicities. In fact, our highest earner right now per year that's doing the same thing that I'm doing is a person down in Florida and of Hispanic background and doing very, very well. So it's equal opportunity for all, and I really appreciate that. It's merit-based. If you do the work, you get promotions. You get the blessings, the outcome of what you're doing, and I really appreciate that. So.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. So Wayne, we've talked a little bit about Primerica and how it impacted you and aligning with that business. So let's talk a little bit about, what your day-to-day look like for helping serve your clients. Like, how does that look for you? What does your day-to-day business running look like?
That's a great question, Adam. And a lot of people have this idea, when I talk to people about our business, they have this idea that I'm sitting in a cubicle making 1,000 calls every day. And if that were the business, I'd just take a spork and I think and just slit my wrists because that's not me. On an average day, I'm kind of splitting the day up between prospecting every day because you have to have more things in the pipeline. So I'm always looking for more opportunities. I'm looking for folks that maybe want to do the business. I'm looking for potential clients. I'm looking for people in need. So that's what's one part of my day is prospecting. And there's many ways of doing prospecting, electronically, social media, and even one-to-one personally. But on a day-to-day, the calls, I'm not making hundreds of calls a day. I'm on average, Adam, I make at the most 5 to 8 calls a day. And usually those are people that I'm already working with or prospects that I've been kind of molding and working with. So it's not a lot of sitting there just cold call. I don't do any cold calling. And in my 9 years in Primerica now, I've not made a single cold call. It's all warm marketing. And really, we use the word network marketing without really thinking about it. But it's about building, and it's not really network marketing strictly either. It's about building an organic organization. And so that's what I do. And I'm always doing education. I'm always learning more. I spend a little bit of my time every day reading a little bit. I read at least 10 to 15 pages every day. Nice. I love to read Ron Murray. The Game of Numbers is a fantastic book. If you've ever read that, it just talks about the numbers. And basically, if you know your numbers in your business, your numbers can't beat you. You can't beat your numbers, but your numbers can't beat you. So just spending time every day, just repeating that day after day, and working with people.
That's amazing. So books, I hear things are, obviously prospecting, but also I love a favorite quote I've heard is you're the sum of the books you read and the people you meet. So it sounds like your business kind of drives from that, right?
Absolutely, Adam. And in that too, in that day, I have 3 to 5 client meetings that I'm working with people, and so that can be in Zoom or in person. And I'm blessed that my clientele is coast to coast, so I do a lot of business on the West Coast as well. So it's not uncommon for me to have a Zoom call start at 10 o'clock. And it was funny, last week I had a Zoom call that started at 9 o'clock, but it was here in Charlotte, so it wasn't on the West Coast. It's like, this person's up late. So,
yeah. This is a funny question for me because, I have this conception of financial planning as some person who is making money off of my money and just working to do those things. What do you tell people about like that? And how do you tell them about like what are the misunderstandings of like financial planning? Because a lot of people do have that bad taste or bad understanding of like what the real world's like of financial planning.
It's a great question, Adam. And a lot of people have had bad advice. A lot of people have had a situation where they've been taken advantage of, unfortunately. But across the board, most advisors are good people. Most advisors are doing the right thing for their clients. Most advisors are trying to do their best as fiduciaries of putting their clients' interests first always. And that's as a fiduciary, that's what we're required to do by law. But it goes beyond that. It's a desire to do that. It's wanting to do that. I think one of the things that people misunderstand all the time, though, is they can't afford a financial advisor or the costs are too high. And when you look at, especially like with us as Primerica advisors, our costs are very low by industry standards. We work with several financial houses across the country, so we're not locked into one product, one rate, one financial house. So we can do our best to find the right products, the right things that fit our clients' needs.
Got you. So that diversity in products also helps with not having one unilateral kind of movement of everything. You can kind of go to different places to help with budget and cost perspective.
Absolutely, Adam. A lot of times, especially if you're talking just like a 401k, a person gets into with a company, they don't get any advice when they're signing up for their retirement.
No advice.
No advice. No, and they're faced with that choice of, I've got 3 boxes to choose. Which am I? Aggressive, moderate, or conservative? Well, and even right there, they're sometimes they're out of luck, if you will. But we have more than 3 boxes. When we first started in 1977 as a company, Art Williams, our founder, we had 1 life insurance product, which was term life, and we had 1 mutual fund. Today, we have 2 life insurance products. They're both term, one with a medical exam, one without the medical exam. But we have hundreds of financial products, investment products that we use. And we work with some of the nation's leading companies, Invesco, Dana, Genter, Franklin Templeton, Fidelity, and just do a great job across the board of working, again, meeting our clients' needs and saying what do they need and how can we prepare them with these financial houses to do the best we can for our clients.
Yeah, and I mean, that makes perfect sense and really helps me understand a little bit more about the value of a financial planner. Here's my next favorite question. AI's come out.
Yeah.
There's the world of, everyone's AI will replace your job and all that other thing. And I'm, AI's got great leverage, and I'm pretty smart with AI. Why can't I just use AI versus using a financial planner now?
You can. I mean, you can use AI. You can use things that are company, and I won't mention.
I think we
names.
had this funny conversation too. I think you presented on this at our last BNI thing. So I really want to dive deep into this because I think it's kind of interesting because I thought I could beat you.
Sure.
With AI, right?
Yeah.
Like it should be smarter, right?
Yeah. Yes and no. when you have a computer and you have AI, it's set up on certain algorithms, it's certain tests that when you meet those tests, it's going to operate. If X happens, then Y. And life's not X and Y. Life is X and Y, and then, oh, by the way, this was just a glitch. But that computer doesn't know it was just a glitch. And it's going to act upon that way. I talked with a person recently, and they had a stock, and they had set up their protections so that when the stock reached a certain amount, they were going to sell. And they got there, and they didn't realize that the stock was going to go so much more higher, and that algorithm sold, and they lost an incredible amount of money because they sold here when they should have waited till here if they're going to sell way up here. And that's just one example. You will never.
You gave me one example. I think if I remember correctly, a guy was like, "I'm up 2,000%." But you were explaining this concept. I think is really great to drive home for folks that are really trying to figure out if financial planning is important to them. It was the principle of multiplication. You were saying like, hey, when it goes down, most people think they need to get, hold it or not do anything else. But, you as a financial advisor are like, wait a minute, this might be an opportunity to buy right now.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So I thought that was a really interesting principle that may drive something differently home that caught my eye when we had our conversation.
And that's going back to Warren Buffett. When people are afraid, be bold. When people are scared, take action, if you will. And I think it's a sound principle that, again, when things are down, it's a good opportunity. We're buying at a discount. And so, there will always be a need for what I do.
Your
those
expertise,
who do it well.
and your knowledge behind that, understanding that part. Because like for me, I would have been like, all right, I'm just going to sit here and wait till it comes back up. Not wait a minute, I just got a little bit cheaper opportunity to reduce what my total expenditure was on that stock. It was it was pretty eye catching to me. So I agree with you. I think AI is it's good for what it can do.
Absolutely.
But it still could never replace what you're saying is that commonality of understanding like these boluses, these changes, the firing of a CEO or the hiring of a new CEO right away. It doesn't understand what that can really do to the market.
There are other factors. There are those intangibles that are there that you just can't replace.
Right.
That human factor. And with the looking at things, hundreds of scenarios and things, AI can do a lot of great things, but it'll never replace that person and that personal touch there.
Yeah. Well, so I've got money and I'm doing all the things I think are good and my financial wealth's perfect. Where do people get stuck before they meet with you? Or where do you find a lot of people are stuck and then they finally come to you? Like, what's that sticking point look like?
Yeah, a lot of times there's a lot of fear. And we look at whatever the economy is doing. We remember what happened in 2008, 2009. For those of us a little older, we remember what happened even earlier, 2000, 2001. And so, there's that idea of what's happened in the past. We can't get past that. Or I have a client right now, Adam, who he had a real hard, before he started working with me and really kind of trusted me and gave really the free reins for me to help him. He had worked with a guy back in 2008, 2009, who was about to retire. And he saw that guy that he really respected and really liked. He had to postpone retirement because he wasn't really well set for what happened. And so when he was working with me, he's very conservative, which is okay. We can work with that. But he was really reluctant. And over time, and as he saw what we did for him, and as we saw the strategies that we implemented, we saw when they worked, he felt really comfortable with us helping him. And so, just working with folks, overcoming fears, overcoming misconceptions, like the cost factor, or the idea that it's only for the wealthy people to have a financial advisor.
Yeah, and my biggest one would be like, oh, I don't have enough money. I got $5,000 in the bank account, Wayne, but I got a full-time job. I'm still not ready for you.
And it's funny, Adam, you mentioned that, because with the snow this weekend and everything, I was able to watch a little TV. Yeah. And I love, especially Sunday morning, we get a lot of financial houses that are they're advertising. And I always love the idea, well, they love to use the buzzwords, we're a fiduciary. And then if you have $500,000, come work with us. That's great. And I have clients that are above that and do really well. But most of my clients are below that level. And I have clients, Adam, if someone works at Walmart or whatever job they have and doing the best they can, and if they can put in $25 a month, I can help them get into the market. And I'm a fiduciary. I'm by law required to make sure I put their interests first, which I'm going to do anyway, because I love people and I'm in it to help people, not to hurt people.
Yeah, I love that word fiduciary. I know they use it heavily, but we are too in the real estate industry.
Sure.
So it does help people feel more comfortable. They
Sure,
understand the
absolutely,
alignment.
yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah, but don't pair a fiduciary with you got to have $1 million.
Yeah.
Because it's really that's not right. I can help people, anyone. You don't have to be wealthy. We can help you.
All right. Well, Wayne, we talked a little bit about financial planning and why a financial advisor, and we talked a little bit about you and the Primerica business, and talked about why you aligned with them. You know, I kind of want to start it to talk a little bit about you in the business, and when you're in the business, you know, was there ever a point where you felt like in this 9 years, this is way harder than I ever thought it could be? Because I mean, you know, we've had the ups and downs of everything in the flows of the market, but was there ever a time you were just like, this is way harder than I ever thought?
Absolutely, Adam. And I think that's a mistake a lot of people make coming into my specific business, is they feel like we're just going to walk in, the doors are going to open, and everything is just going to be rainbows and bunnies.
Yeah.
And
People are just going to do it, right? They're going to do business with me.
Yeah, and
right?
the truth is that there's always that grind. And anytime, as an entrepreneur, anytime you open your own business or have your own business, we all go through that period of grind. And there's always, as I mentioned earlier, there's always that time when the business owns you and you don't own the business. So just know that's part of the business. That's part of getting through that journey.
I love that quote.
Yeah.
I might have to keep that one. There's always a time where the business owns you and you don't quite own the business.
Sure.
I think so many business owners could probably align with that quote times a million for at least the first 5 or 10 years of the business.
And
Like I even align with that, like on a big level. I've thought about it, like I'm in year 7 and I'm like, okay, probably the first 5 years of that, the business owned me. Totally didn't own it.
I don't know anybody that's been successful that hasn't gone through that grind.
Yeah.
Everybody has that period. And as far as self-doubt, I mean, you know, I went from being a university professor, I had a steady paycheck, I had a tenure. I was a full professor when I left in my early 50s. Everybody leaves a job that they have guaranteed for life, right? So, but no, I needed to change, and it's a great change. But this idea of you know, the doubts that come in for all of us. You know, am I going to make it? Am I going to get there? My sister-in-law was one of my first clients and greatest supporter. She's a great friend. And every year about December, she would remind me, Wayne, look how far you've come this year.
Oh.
And she was just right. Every year, the business was growing. And in the midst of it, I was so close, I didn't really see it. And to look back and see the way things have just continued to compound, continue to grow. So I think that's a great thing. And sure, there were those, one of the biggest things I had to do also, Adam, was I had to leave the employee mindset behind. That being a business owner, being in charge of my own business, I had to think like a business owner. That was foreign. I mean, and it really took me 2 to 3 years to kind of wash out that thinking, if you will.
Yeah.
And replace that with a new mindset, which is important.
Yeah, I follow the Think Like a CEO podcast, which is a similar podcast to this one, and that one's a really great, same kind of, that wash, but I'm telling you, the way you said that quote, the business owns you and then you own the business, that was pretty quality right there, Wayne. I'll tell you what. What boring habits do you have? If we had to go and say, like, things that you do that are just simple, what are the boring habits that you have in your business right now that you might not even think are boring anymore, or you may not even realize that you do?
Yeah, I think the attention to social media that I just do routinely. I send birthday messages every day to all my contacts on social media. It's religious. I just get in it. It's one of the first things I do. The prospecting, it's just part of the day. Yeah. And when it becomes part of your day, then, yeah, quote unquote, it can get boring. But just reading things like Ron Murray's book, The Numbers Game, and just showing why it's so important, it's the lifeblood. And with the new context coming in, the new people, whether it's a new rep or a new client, it just gives you exposure to a whole new market, a whole new world every time. And your business just kind of continues to grow through that.
Yeah.
So being disciplined, reading every day, Adam, just they're quote unquote. I'm an old boring guy, but it's that consistency, really that discipline helps to grow the business day in and day out. So
still living by that quote: the books you read, and the people you meet. I love
Yep.
that one. And so, what does discipline look like in your world?
Getting up early. I don't have to be. I be in my office when I want to be.
Yeah.
But my wife's a school teacher, and she has to be in her office early. She works on the other side of Charlotte, and so she leaves the house about 6:15 every day.
Whew.
It would be so easy, Adam, for me just to lay in bed, get up about 7, that kind of thing. And nobody would know the difference.
No.
But I get up at 5:30, 5:45 every morning. I get up, spend a little bit of quality time with my wife, have a cup of coffee, and then I'm in my home office by 7:30 or 8 every morning.
Let's go.
And I'm
Same.
working for an hour, hour and a half, and I live 45 minutes in the morning from uptown if I let the traffic get bad. So I'm usually waiting until 9 o'clock. I let the traffic pass.
Yeah.
And then it's a 30-minute drive in.
Yeah.
So I'm saving 15 minutes there.
Yeah.
So then I'm going into my uptown office. So just those kind of things, those kind of habits.
Strategic habits around.
Yeah, being mindful about when I get out. Traffic's going to be bad in Charlotte regardless.
Yeah.
But we can choose. If you have the opportunity of having your own business, you can choose when you get it. And mine's not a storefront. People aren't coming into my office and just kind of wandering off the street. It's their appointment, those kind of things. So I can really set that up and do that well.
Purposeful. Cool. So purposefulness and definitely directness.
Yes.
Discipline behind that. Makes
Absolutely.
sense. Cool. Who did you have to become to lead people at Primerica? Like, what did you have to do that changed when you started and you went from, a salesperson in Primerica to now regional president?
Yeah.
That's a pretty big difference. What did you have to do differently to become that?
It's a great question, Adam. And I think with all business owners, I think there's that leadership component that, we work on self. And I think it's an ongoing process. It's something you never stop doing. If you do it well and you continue to grow, you never want to stop working on yourself. You always strive to do better, make better choices, have better habits. If we have personality things or hang-ups or issues that cause us to not work well in certain situations, identify those and learn how to deal with them better. And I think one example that I can give for myself is I used to get so impatient with people that wouldn't show up for meetings. And sometimes you'd reschedule them 2 and 3 times and you'd still ghost you. And when I was early in the business, man, that would just infuriate me. I mean, it just, gosh, and then I don't even want to talk to you ever again in your life, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because, all kinds of things can happen. And I think just having patience in those scenarios and becoming better. And that's one way of me improving as a person, if you will.
Yeah, because I think there's one quote of like not meeting people at where you are, but meeting them where they are and
Absolutely.
understanding how to do that. I think that's a big deal. So
Sure.
yeah, I get where you're.
And with leadership too. I mean, we can all improve with the way that we lead, the way that we treat people, the way that they see us, doing things that people want to follow. Because, no one, our founder of our company, he has a quote, he said many times in his speeches, nobody wants to follow a dadgum crybaby. And if you're always crying about business or lack of, put that smile on. Be excited about what you do.
What's something you had to unlearn that you really like when you realized that you were doing it that was like getting in the way of some success? Was there anything that you had to like undo or unwrap?
I think that employee mindset probably is the best example. If you just said it's not a 9 to 5. This is get the business done when it gets done. Like I said, working late at night sometimes.
Yeah, so. I think that's a good point. One for me is someone asked me the other day, when do you work?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I don't. And they were like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I don't even know what work looks like anymore. Sure. And they were like, what do you mean you don't know what work looks like anymore? I was like, well, I guess in the sense of I don't believe in this is when I walk in and this is when I walk out and there's a calendar and a schedule. Sure. So I think that's what people define as work.
Yeah.
And so if I was telling someone that truth, I'm like, I don't know what work looks like anymore. It's late sometimes, it's early sometimes, it's mixed in the day, or it may be nothing if I'm going on a vacation or trying to turn it off. So yeah, totally unlearning that factor, because we were always taught, growing up that school bell. You got into the bell. That's when you started work, and then when the bell was over, that's when you left work, and then when you get to college, they get rid of the bell, and then you have to unlearn that, and then you're now after college trying to unlearn how to be a business entrepreneur. Yeah. But then some people still do the 9 to 5 and have that. So I love the fact that I had to unlearn what work was too. Sure. So I can align with that.
Yeah, just like yesterday, we had a snow day in Charlotte in my wife's home. It's been so easy just to take the day off, just whatever she wanted to do. But we were home. My office is at home, so I chose to work in my office by myself from like 8 till noon, and I was building appointments. So I had actually got an appointment yesterday afternoon and brought in a new client, and I'm really excited about the prospect of helping them and working with them. That when I first started the business, I'd have just taken the day off because the snow day meant you don't work.
Right.
And so just that mindset. And then last night I met with teammates, so I had a full day.
Yeah.
And it was a snow day. My wife was home. We enjoyed lunch together. I watched a TV show with her in the afternoon for about an hour.
Yeah.
But I still got a lot of work done. and it was a good
Snow
day.
days are like double down days.
They are. Oh, yeah.
that's when they're happy and ready to speak to you.
Yeah, people are
they're,
they're
they're pretty
available.
bored by now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good example. If someone like me knows that they should be more intentional with their finances, but they're just really not doing it, what do you want to hear? What do you want them to hear right now? Like, a hey, knucklehead, or hey, person sitting on the couch that's just not been getting into action. Like, what do you want them to hear? Like, what's the one thing that you could tell them that would just change a trajectory that maybe they're not recognizing?
The number one thing about investing is time in the market. So the sooner you get in, the sooner the better the results are going to be. So there's great, all types of things that we can look at and point to that show if you wait even a year or 6 months to a year, that you lose the opportunity cost of what in the market. And so I think that's the biggest thing, Adam, is that when's the best time to invest? Is it an up market? Is it a down market? It's now. And there's been a lot of studies that have been done of for example, I was looking at an example yesterday where a person that if they put in $100,000 the day before the market crashed in 2008, I mean, they put that in, and then it went down to like $65,000 the next day. That, again, in a standard growth fund, that today, this year, that would have come back to about $485,000.
Wow.
And so if they had not put that in, again, and yeah, it's kind of scary. You're losing all that. It's like, where'd my money go?
Yeah.
But it's over time. And we're thinking the long game, not the short game. And with my type of investing and the clients I work with, we're thinking the long game. We're thinking long term. We're thinking not tomorrow. We're thinking long term. And so I think getting in, finding the right advisor who you trust,
right,
who you have a relationship with, who is going to know you and get to know you and your family, and listen to you, Adam, and see what are your goals, dreams, and visions, and help you put together a plan in line with those goals, dreams, and visions. It should never be, this is one size fits all. It's about how can we help you. And so I think the person that's hesitant is just getting in. It's finding that person you trust, because it is a trust business, and it needs to be a trust business. But then also letting them handle things, let go. Don't think you have to micromanage. Quick story, quick anecdote.
Yeah.
Had a friend last year about this time. We onboarded him. He was one of my good friends from I've known him for a long time, and was having a hard time. I just kept looking when he got in, kept looking at everything every day, and his previous 401k or 403b just didn't have quite the same access, because we provide free access and transparency and apps and things you can check on things all the time. He was doing it all the time. He was making himself so nervous. And finally, his wife called me and said, Wayne, we got to help me here. So I called him, and we had that conversation. I said, hey, we want you to have access. We want you to know what's going on. But let me do the worrying. Let my team do it. It's not just me. Let my team do the worrying. We're looking at this for you every day. We've got you. You can relax and trust us. Check it, but we've got you. And I think part of that is helping people know that it's going to be okay, that moving past that fear. And I think, you shared a book recently. What was it, 3 Feet from Gold?
3 Feet from Gold,
yeah. It was a great book, and I've had a copy. I've been reading it. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
And I do love Napoleon Hill and that whole background. I know Think and Grow Rich. It's a great book.
Yeah. But,
even there, that fear of just, I'm not going to get there, and then giving up and helping people not quit, just getting in and going is great. So
yeah, because there's this big thing of like, oh, I have to be in a certain age to start creating financial wealth, or I have to enter the market when I'm ready, or I have to, and then you look up and it's that wait, it's too late, kind of thought process. And like, I think you shared a calendar at one point that I saw, or a graph of like, and my partner and I were talking about this the other day. It was the when you get in, and like how late you wait, and like how bad it is. And then I'm over there like, oh God, like if we keep waiting any longer, what are we doing? Like, I think it was like from 40 to 45, which 12 days from 41. And I'm like, oh God, I've got to get rolling here. It's going to be an ugly show.
Sure.
It's like you forget how important it is in the beginning to like help create that growth path along the way. And you're right. It is a fear of like, well, what if I don't have enough capital, or what if I don't do the right thing? Got to get up off your butt and get in gear and call Wayne Ballard, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Or at least interview and start to figure that out, because it does feel daunting to interview and ask a lot of questions, but it is something that when you're 90, 80, and you can live a different life than just stuck it can make a lot of more fuller of a life, as you would like to say.
Sure. Let me say two things too quickly in response to that.
Yeah, you're
My
good.
oldest client that I ever onboarded, brought on as a new client, was 85 years old. They'd never been in the market. They'd been very successful. They had many businesses and been very successful financially, but they'd never been in the market. And I helped that person invest. And then when they passed away a few years later, their descendants were thrilled with what we had done.
Wow.
We had taken a little bit, and it was a great story.
So generational wealth still can be created even later in life.
Absolutely.
Generational wealth can start early or it can end
can,
early,
it
as long
can.
as you're figuring out how to protect those assets. Having a financial partner like yourself, it really can
Absolutely.
change everything for your whole family.
And the biggest part about what we do also, Adam, is that hope. I can't tell you how many widows, ladies who've been divorced in their 50s, early 60s, who have been left literally with nothing and come in, and my wife and I work with them, and to see what they have now, to see the growth. And again, I come back to that word hope, to say, hey, yeah, it's late, but it's not too late. And getting started at any age is important. And we can take that and help them to build a financial plan that's going to maximize their growth and to do everything we can to help them be successful.
I love that. I love that a lot. And so, Wayne, now that we've talked a lot, we talked a little bit about your business, we talked about you. People are going to find this podcast and really listen to all the great, wonderful nuggets of you can be owned by your business or own your business.
Sure.
And, there's going to be all those great things of 3 Feet from Gold too. How do people connect with you? Like, what's a good way that they can find you and get to you and maybe even set up an appointment, get to work right away? Because the whole point of this podcast and this interview
Sure.
today is to take somebody from inaction to action and really change their life. So my goal with this podcast is ultimately to take one person that we can do and meet Wayne Ballard tomorrow and maybe change the trajectory of generating generational wealth. Okay. They can be 25 or they can be 85 or they can be 90. How do they do that, Wayne? What do they do?
Great question, Adam. And I'm on Google. You look up Harold Wayne Ballard Jr. on Google, and my business will be there. You can also look online, Facebook, on LinkedIn. I'm there, Harold Wayne Ballard Jr. You'll find me. And I guess my offices are in Uptown Charlotte, and so I'm in the Regions Bank building, and so I'm in the WeWork. I have an office suite there in the WeWork and a dedicated office, or just calling me at my phone number. That's a good way, or emailing me. Email me at hballard@primerica.com or 704-420-4094. And that's my business number, but it's still my personal cell number. And my wife has always encouraged me, why you need to change that? But I don't, because I'm intertwined.
Yeah,
I hear what she's saying. And I think there's wisdom in that to a point, because I can't tell you how many calls I get every day. But I still want to be accessible. And whether I'm watching TV at 11 o'clock on Saturday night and get a call, which I have had, I call them right back.
Yeah.
And do my best to meet clients and people where they are, or prospective clients.
Yeah, and so there you have it, everyone. I'm Adam Sellars with the Queen City Sellars team. This is a great episode of Behind the Key. If you've been thinking about financial planning, or you've had it on your heart, or even if you haven't had it on your heart and you listen to this podcast and maybe it moves you 1 inch closer, please reach out to Wayne and do the things that are right for your legacy and for your future. And thank you again for joining this episode of Behind the Key. Have a great day and let us be your key to the city.